right, we're going to be talking politics with our analyst and media correspondent Stacey Siegel and Brandon Holt joining us live in the studio. Thank you to you both.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's talk about, as we know, tomorrow is Super Tuesday, big election day in America. From what we know as the current place of the candidates currently, what can we infer to be the results for tomorrow?
Depending on which primary, and in the Republican race, it seems like a stronghold lead for Donald Trump. He's leading in 10 of the next 14 states. He generally has a commanding lead across the board among all different voter demographics. He's even gaining on some of the states that, for example, Texas, that some of his main political opponents hold. So he really could carry away after tonight. On the Democratic side, it's a similar situation for Hillary Clinton. She carries a huge lead against Bernie Sanders, and it's a potential chance for her to pull away, particularly if she does well in states like Massachusetts.
Well, here's the thing. If you look at on a national election stage, and you kind of have to weigh it out, even though Trump has 49%, now has really taken the lead in the Republican Party, he's obviously going to get the nominations to shoo in. His problem is going to be on a national election stage because I don't think anybody understands the situation with the Electoral College and how that makes an impact on the entire election. So one of the maps that we've looked at, which is recent in the past 2.5 weeks, shows that Trump is leading in approximately 14 states. And the thing is, 9 of the states have combined only less than 5% of the Electoral College. And the thing is, you have to have 270 votes of the Electoral College to get elected. And if you look at her lead, she's got California and New York, and California by itself has 55 Electoral College votes. So we're talking a huge lead. And let's give an example, even though Trump's leading in Idaho, we're talking about less than 2% of the Electoral College. So if you're looking at the big picture, I mean, she's going to stomp him. And it's not even going to really be a contest. And actually, he was talking about the other night that they had a huge debate, which was so exciting. It's probably the greatest debate in the history of politics. It's like when in Hartsfield Airport, when you have hundreds of planes that land successfully, no one cares about the planes that land successfully. They only care about the crashes. And this was like airplane crash with airplane crash. I mean, it's just been so dramatic and so funny and engaging.
See,
so,
the important thing to note about the Republican debate was that despite all the dirt that was rubbed on Donald Trump and focusing on Trump University, the Polish immigrant situation that he used to build the Trump Tower in the 80s, they got all of those things. They really started attacking him, but his base is solidified. He's got his support down. There is nothing in his way by this point to prevent him from getting the nomination. I mean, in my book, it's over, and even if they continue this vigorous attack, if Mitt Romney gets up and he continues talking about how Trump's taxes are this big catastrophe, it's not making a difference. So, I mean, as entertaining as the debates are, as informative as the debates are, and as much as it's heating up, it's interesting to note the fact that it's not really having an actual impact on the results.
Well, I mean, it was so much fun. I've never seen so much mudslinging in my life. But the truth is, the other candidates really held their own against it. They learned that the way to take Trump is not to sit down and lay down, have, sustain attacks, but to, go right back at him. And if you look at what happened with Marco Rubio, he really did hold his ground. Even a few hours after the debate, the next day, he really stood up to him. And even though Trump was throwing a water bottle and saying that he has sweat to death and that he was just railing on Rubio, Rubio came back and defended himself and said that he could barely see over the podium and that, he was talking about Trump has attacked his face for putting too much makeup on, and he called him a Halloween pumpkin. I mean, it was just so funny. So I do think, he has gained a lead. Like right now, he's gained an even greater lead because all those candidates that dropped out since New Hampshire, you've got Jeb Bush dropped out, Ben Carson dropped out, Farina dropped out, Huckabee. It was a huge list of candidates that bailed. And all those votes have to go somewhere. And the thing is that even the Tea Party has really rallied around him, and all those candidates' votes have gone straight up to Trump. So that's why he's 49%. You know, like Brendan said, it's just a no-brainer tomorrow.
So the question then arises, out of all the candidates that have dropped out, where would some of this final dominoes fall and some of the support go? Where does Jeb Bush's support go? Where does, or will be Ben Carson's support go? And eventually, where will Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio's support go?
Well, I think it's obvious where Chris Christie's support went. He made his deal with the devil.
Okay, but
Yeah.
Chris Christie personally and his supporters are two different things. I thought a lot of his supporters went towards Marco Rubio. However, considering the fact that he himself is supporting Donald Trump, it says something. It is something, but at the same time, I mean, he's kind of just doing it to try and get the vice presidency nominee. It doesn't necessarily represent any points that he made in supporting Trump as to why some of his supporters should leave establishment and go support him. So it just seems to me like, and I think Christie's just a shining example of some of the establishment votes, you know, particularly with Jeb Bush. Where are they going to go? Because a lot of people predicted, oh, they're going to rally behind Marco Rubio or John Kasich. They haven't. A lot of them have actually been going to Trump, and it's a dangerous thing, but hey, I mean, when there's a solid candidate, regardless of who, I mean, whether it's establishment or outsiders, senators, governors, or just businessmen, they're beginning to rally behind Trump, and I think tomorrow night you're really going to begin to see that.
Well, I don't think you went into too much detail about Christie, but I mean, talk about flip-flopping. That's why I said that he stole his soul to the devil, because if you watch the other primaries, he basically said that Trump was reprehensible, that he wasn't the kind of leader that would represent the United States, and all of a sudden he's backing him 100%, his biggest supporter, you know, just throwing all kinds of compliments at him. And obviously, it just seems that he's just trying to get the nomination for the vice presidency. And you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes, what kind of promises are being made, and what's going on behind the scenes. But, you know, it's been amazing to watch, you know, the unfolding. And, you know, we haven't really spoken about the Democratic side of the election, because you've got Bernie Sanders, who was spiking in all of the minor primaries. But then, like I said, when you look at the national stage, it's a completely different story. You've got Bernie Sanders was really just a culmination of Democrats who were smacking Hillary in the face for her transgressions, you know, with the emails and everything else. And it was really just some angry Democrats who were smacking her in the face. And she, again, you know, Bernie has no chance on a national stage. I mean, the Clinton name is gonna resolve.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, we have more politics to talk. Thanks for joining us.